Okay, hello and welcome back to Sonic TV. I'm Andrew Weir, and this is part of the beginners tutorial series, and we're looking at modelling on Blender 2.67. It is Blender 2.67 now because this video is new to the series, and there's a playlist link in the description. So the rest of the videos have been made. I'm just adding in this video as I figured I'd add a few tools to the modelling. So if you've seen any of the videos, then you'll know that we are looking at modelling, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Bevel tool on this one to start off with. So if you don't know what beveling is, we may look at the modifier because it has a modifier which is just called bevel. And I've got a random shape here which you can see it's just a cube with some ring loops. And then you go ahead and add the bevel tool, and right there we can see what it does. It flattens the edges, and if you've got any sharp edges it's going to bevel them, it's called, which helps make the shape look even nicer depending on what kind of effect you're going for. So if you want to do this kind of effect, you'll see it on certain shapes, but it does kind of make some shapes like cubes look nicer. If you're going to have them in your scene, you might want to bevel the edges to make them look good. And that's just the modifier, so that does it all automatically. And what it also helps with is smooth shading. So you can see how smooth shading is here, but if we've got sharp edges, which now it does, the smooth shading doesn't look very good. And if we add smooth shading with the bevel modifier, then you can see that looks a lot better. But that's just the modifier. So what I want to do is look at it in edit mode, where we can actually bevel things individually. So select a random edge. I'm going to go ahead and select this one and press Ctrl B, which is the bevel shortcut. And you can see we're doing the same effect as the modifier, apart from we're doing it in a specified area to what we selected. And if you can't remember Ctrl B, then you can also search it with bevel here, and it'll tell you the shortcut anyway. We can bevel pretty much anything, so we've got ring loops selected, we can bevel them, and a use for it, or the main use, which makes it so good and really handy, is that when we're beveling, so I'm going to bevel this edge here again, we're adding in more vertices to our shape, so we can actually just make some areas more realistic, or give them more detail and move it into the shape that we want, without adding an entire ring loop across the whole of our geometry and everything that we've got, which could just like mess it up, or we will have too much if we're going to do that the whole time. So that's really useful. And basically it also makes some B-mesh, so we can use the cut tool, which we looked at before, with K to get rid of some B-mesh if we didn't want it for whatever reason. So we can cut across here, and there we go. If we did want to get rid of that, then we could. And the next thing would be deleting a few things. So there's more options in the delete settings here. Press X. We can see a few things. We've probably looked at all these here because they're pretty basic, but we haven't looked at dissolve or limited dissolve and so on. And basically, if we have, let's say, this one here, we don't want it to be there. It's a bit in the way and things, so we're going to have to, well, we might want to dissolve it, which just gets rid of it, but it doesn't get rid of the faces, and it creates a new face between all the connections which were there, which would B-mesh with a weird shape like this. Isn't going to turn out looking very good. Kind of looks a bit weird. So what we're going to do is we can again just cut across from that vertex to that one, and we've cleared up the shape just a little bit, which is good. We can also do it with shapes like this. I'll dissolve that as well, and you can see again we just got rid of it there. And another one is with ring loops, so we can see that we've got an entire ring loop all the way around the shape here. And a handy way to actually see around the shape also is if I select the whole thing, I press R twice, that's rotate twice, and now I can actually get this cool 360 look around of my shape, and I can just right click to put it back to its original position. Or maybe, just talking about that tool, we can go into the camera view, and maybe we don't want to view it quite from this angle. It's easy to press R twice and then put it to the right position than it is to move it like this, depending on what kind of effect you want. So that's cool. And I'm just going to tab back into edit mode. And basically what we can also do is we can delete edge loops. So we've got an entire edge loop around here. I'm going to press X and we're going to do edge loop. We're going to select delete edge loop, which has deleted the entire thing. It's connected everything still, so you don't have to go connect it again yourself, which is useful, and it just makes things a lot easier, saves you a load of time. But I'm going to keep this shape like this because I also want to look at how to edge dissolve or edge collapse. And basically it's kind of like merging, so if I merge it at the center, then it's going to give the same effect, but it's a lot quicker just to press those two and edge collapse, which connects them into one vertex, and then maybe pull it back. And it's a lot easier to do that than it is to merge, because you've got a few more buttons to press to merge. So we can do that too, and that'll save us some modelling time as well as making getting some cool shapes. And what else I want to mention was the grease pencil, which is quite important if you're trying to like plan out what you're doing and you can't quite see it, or maybe you just want to draw onto your shape or draw in the area just to get some maybe, or maybe if you do tutorials it's easy as well because you can actually show drawings of what you're doing inside Blender. And you know, it's not I don't use it very much myself, but I can see how it is useful when you're modelling. And basically we just press D to draw. So just D on its own, you've got to hold it down, and we can draw around in the scene. I might have some different settings on. See, I've got mine set to surface over here on the right, so I'm going to close to the grease pencil. We can see that I've got it set to surface in the blue here, and all that means is when I draw with D, I'm actually drawing onto my shape. So I'm drawing all around here, and it's being stuck to the surface. Of course, if I'm drawing off, then it's going to be drawn to my view, which is exactly what the other setting is. So I draw it to the view. It's going to draw it roughly in the center, and I'm drawing around, and then I rotate, and it's rotating with your view. I'm going to go ahead and delete this now. There is actually a delete option over here on the left. There's probably a shortcut as well, but if I go to erase, then we actually rub some of this out, which is useful. But if we want to delete the whole thing, then we can just click the little X here. And if I press D to draw again, but with cursor, then it's going to draw around where my cursor is. So I can look around in 3D view and see my drawing. So that's all really useful. We can also turn off X-ray so it's not visible through our shapes. And we can change the thickness and colour and so on. But they're fairly basic settings. So that's quite useful as well. And I also want to mention the normals. So that's the final thing that I'm going to mention. It's also important when you're modelling, and it also goes back to smooth shading, because I've got smooth shading on right now. And when I go into edit mode and I turn on the normals in the mesh display, normals display face normals, and then change the scale of them depending on your scene. If I flip one of these by pressing space and flip normals, then we can see it's gone kind of black here, and that's because, you know, you've probably seen this before, you might not even know what it is. It's because the normal is facing the wrong way, and it affects the smooth shading, it affects glass effects, it also affects textures, and probably quite a few more things. But if you've ever seen that, and it's just because normal are facing the wrong way, and we can either flip it individually by searching and going flip normals and selecting any faces which we need flipping, which could be quite slow. So what they've got is if we select the whole shape, we can also search make normals constant even, and also we can go Control N to do this as well. So Control N, and now all normals are facing the right way. So that's just a few things on Blender. I hope you found most of them useful, and I hope you move on to the next video. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.